Today's episode of Talking Wolves is brought to you by Green King Sport, where football is more than a game.
That's right, Matt, and Green King Sport venues are showing every single one of Wolves' televised fixtures across the 23-24 season. And with more than 900 sports pubs across the UK, it doesn't matter whether you're in Wolverhampton or Warrington, you won't miss a single minute of the action.
Keep an eye out during the season for events, offers, content and competitions that put you closer to the action. We'll get into Monday night's game at Old Trafford in today's show, but if you want to catch any of this week's football, get yourself down to your local Green King Sports pub. Now it's time for the podcast. Hello and welcome back to the Talking Wolves podcast. I am your host, Matthew Cooper, and today I am joined by Dave Azzopardi. Dave, how are you, mate? How was last night?
Very well, thank you, Matt. Yeah, to be fair, I enjoyed it. I know, obviously, we'll get into the match a lot more, but bar the traffic to and from Manchester, the rest of the evening was all right.
I heard there was a little bit of an incident as well, which we'll come on to.
Oh,
but
boy.
What have you been up to, Dave? Been doing much this week? Not much transfer rumours to get yourself stuck into.
Oh, man. Nah, transfer rooms are dead at the minute. The last week, I just tried to keep myself busy, play a little bit of football, try and get... I need to keep telling myself I need to go back, start jogging again. Well, I haven't got around to that yet, but yeah, just keep myself busy, man.
That's good. Finn Morris, how are you, mate? Welcome back.
Thank you. Good to be back. Yeah. By the way, Dave, I don't know what we shouldn't have done this on the podcast. Do you pay for that couch to 5K? Because I looked at it. I didn't realise you had to pay. That was a part of my plans this week, and I thought probably
the BBC one is free.
Is it? Oh, yeah. I must have tried for some other one. Took all my details, and by the way, it's £10 a month or whatever.
No.
So that was £10 but no, not been up to much else apart from thinking about exercising.
I was going to say, is this need to start exercising and moving more because you've overindulged on your holiday?
Maybe just a little bit, yeah. One Cornish pasty, which isn't bad. I've resisted. Well, it wasn't even Cornish. Chicken and chorizo, very good. But
very
Cornish. El Cornish. But no, yeah, it was good fun. But yeah, probably do need to get back in the gymnasium.
How was your holiday?
Yeah, it was really good fun. Apart from us sacking a manager in the middle, which rocketed my screen time up. But looking at yesterday, which I'm sure we'll get onto, I think all the right decisions have been made, and I don't know why I didn't just enjoy my holiday. Should have had a great time.
I don't know if anyone listened to a Twitter space we did once. Lopetegui had gone and Gary O'Neill was imminent, but Finn joined the Twitter space and revealed that he was actually on holiday with Wolves' record goal scorer Steve Bull. What was Bully's thoughts and feelings at the time that news broke, or was he too paralytic to even care?
It's the same every time where you go, we're going to sack the manager. He's like, oh, yeah, I knew that. I'm like, could have told me before, mate. Hot exclusives, but at least that shows that he's tight-lipped as vice president. But no, I think he's very, very tight-lipped on it all, even when it does come out. But apart from they should hit it hard and low, you don't get much else when I ask him about Wolves. But no, I don't think he was too mad at the decision at all, really.
In terms of like insight into the modern game, he's not the best, is he? I remember that segment the Express Star used to do. Was it like Ask Bully, where they just used to?
He still does his own column on there, didn't he? He still got his own.
I remember they did used to do video interviews with him, and obviously we've worked with him before, Dave, and like as a live event, like we may as well not have been there because he was unbelievable. Like
he's such
a natural. But like those interviews at like Express and Star, it's like, I just think they need hungry English players, with a bit of grit about them. Like every single interview was the same. Is that still what he's like, Finn? Yeah.
The most fun on the holiday was like we watched the Community Shield and his opinions on players like Havertz. It's just superb. Like it's just the most un-Steve Bull footballer in the world. So that was more fun than anything related to Wolves. Yeah, Havertz. I'm trying to think of any others on the pitch at that time.
Who does he like? So I know he reckons that Haaland won't beat his goal scoring record.
Yeah, but I think Haaland's exactly him, and he's no messing in behind. Bosh. We did watch a few of his old goals as well, and he should have been sent off a lot more than he was. So, there's that one in it where he clatters the keeper, and the ball rolls out, and he rolls it into an empty net. So, a lot of the goals that he scored, you wouldn't get away with nowadays.
When were you watching the goals back?
He asks, as soon as he turns up, you have to watch his top 100 got made. No, I was telling Jem about one of them. I think I was telling her about Newcastle, the Newcastle game, the famous hat trick, 4 goals even. So I was like, oh, come on then, let's put it on. But yeah, it wasn't him, to be fair, it was me.
I was gonna say it does sound like pretty.
What if he gets embarrassed watching them back in front of people?
Yeah, like we'll all go on holiday together. First thing you do is just get the Amazon stick up. Put Steve Wolf 306 goals.
That's what we do, isn't it? When we go, put the podcast. We did a great podcast last week. Everyone, have a listen.
There's some bloke, and I have actually met him. I can't remember his name. I met him when we play in Europe, and he uploads all that onto YouTube, all the season reviews from like 1996, 97, and like they're such a good watch. Because he's like, I feel like for 2 or 3 seasons, you'd get like, they used to have song 2 as the goal music, and like, woo!
Yeah.
Like back in the day. I don't know, Finn, you're probably too young to remember that, but do you remember?
You know the tune though, do you? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Finn knows the tune.
Steam storage. Yeah. Proper,
yeah, football did really peak. Watching those clips, football did peak a long time ago, but we're still here, we're still fighting.
When I was coming out the ground for the Luton game, they played Andreas Johnson, Glorious.
You know what? I was thinking about that tune last week. Yeah, mate.
I was there, I didn't hear it.
Oh, it must have been in my head then.
I heard under you, but
yeah.
Oh,
anyway, lads, we've got a couple of games to talk about. We're going to start with the 1-0 defeat at Old Trafford last night. Well, Monday night, if you're listening on Wednesday, it wouldn't be last night. A game marred by controversy, really, which is a shame because of the performance that the lads put in. I think a lot of pundits, a lot of fans, a lot of even Wolves fans had completely written us off, not just this game, but for the rest of the season, Dave. And I think that showed because the players looked like they were playing with a bit between the teeth and with a point to prove.
You know, when you go to matches, like last 2 years, sometimes you can come away from matches and you're just disappointed because you know that players haven't put the effort in. But like yesterday, obviously there was the whole penalty incident which we'll talk about, but I was driving home satisfied because I know that those players put a huge amount of effort in and it gives real encouragement, you know, and it got to a point now where I really can't wait till Saturday because I think we'll give Brighton a really good game as well. Whereas last season, it was almost a chore sometimes to go to games or talk about games. So I think that's the main thing, just the amount of effort that the lads put in yesterday. Certain people and players that had question marks over their place in the team or whether they should be starting or even the lads coming off the bench. I think everyone played their part yesterday and it was really good to see, obviously, that the amount of effort that they'd all put in.
Finn, did you go last night?
I did, yeah. We were in that little side bit of the away end.
It's weird,
in the main
like a different
bit,
level.
Dave. Yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't even realise I must have been 2 rows above the exact same seat I was in at Old Trafford last season. Because there was one bloke that was giving it the big in last season when they beat us 2-0, and he was right next to me, genuinely the same bloke. And I was like, oh my God. But yeah, I was right by the home fans on the right hand side.
I was complete opposite side.
Yeah, Finn, the lineup was for me probably one that I expected in terms of like personnel. But were you surprised to see that Nunes was on the left and Neto was on the right? We've said until we're blue in the face that Neto's no good on the right hand side, but looked like a 4-2-2, or I mean, at times as well, it looked like even a bit of a diamond. What do you think there was a reason why Gary O'Neill did that? Do you think that's anything to do with how we set up with Lopetegui in pre-season?
Yeah, well, obviously that lineup, as soon as you saw it, firstly, I thought it would be Nunes on the right, Neto on the left as you looked at it. But it sort of seemed like, right, you've had 4 days to work with him. Let's do a bit of evolution, not revolution. Stick to largely the same things. And yeah, quite happy with it. That Nunes, Lamina, Gomez combination that we'd seen in flashes last season without Neves, and then realised how good we looked without him. It was all very promising. So very happy to see that again. And I think with Nunes on the left, I did watch a little Tifo Wolves tactics video that they've brought out this afternoon before, and I can see now they've sort of highlighted a few things that I hadn't quite seen, and the Nunes thing seemed to be targeting Wan-Bissaka. There was a lot of the stuff they've shown that we highlighted, right? Wan-Bissaka's the guy we go for, and then with Nunes, it's hard to do just through audio, but if you can imagine, obviously with Wan-Bissaka trying to come inside, and Nunes has got his right foot inside. It was very detailed, but immediately I thought, why is Neto on the right? This never works. And then watching that video, I thought, oh, maybe some more intelligent people than me can see why that did work. So, yeah, and it evidently seemed to do something.
I do like the TIFO podcast. I do feel like they just study everything to the nth degree, though. Like,
well, they've cancelled it
sometimes-
now, the podcast. Sad day.
Oh, have they?
Yeah, but they've done a special Wolves video if anyone wants to watch. It's titled about Man United because that's how you have to get views, but it's a really good watch.
Yeah.
I watched that one
I
about
actually-
Gary O'Neill's tactics.
Yeah, I've
when
seen
we've
that
just
as
got-
well.
Yeah, it was not a bad video, to be fair, as well.
I noticed that there's a website called Tactics Journal, and it's just I go on it now and again, but they normally cover like the big games. So I looked at it, and one thing that they've noticed, and again, this is what I'm saying, like this is like to the nth degree. The pressing trigger for Wolves is the pass outside to Aaron Wan-Bissaka from Onana that lifts off the ground, because apparently Onana has an issue passing to his right hand side when he leans back.
That's just
So
mad
as soon as that
people
ball
study
lifts
that
off the
shit.
ground, Wolves will set that as a pressing trigger.
What?
But
I thought it was just him
But, like,
regardless. But
yeah. I mean, I've
That's
not
mad,
watched
though.
it back, but yeah, but it's a good. Again, some of the stuff, it's just like it's very much overcomplicated things. But looking at the way they set up, for me, I think that Wolves just wanted to absolutely steamroll the centre of the pitch. You had Lamina, Gomez, Nunes, even Sarabia coming in field a little bit. That's how I saw it. But Dave, I mean, created so many chances. The most shots that have been faced the most shots from an opposition side at Old Trafford, I think, since 2003 or 4, which was Chelsea, and Chelsea lost 1-0 as well. Just the problem last season was not creating enough. Now it looks like, well, I know it's only from the first game, but we've really created so many chances.
Yeah, ultimately, you know, the fact that we're creating chances is great. You know, it's a huge plus compared to last season where we were getting by games and obviously not having anywhere near enough, you know, shots on goal, trying to walk the ball in the net at times. And I think we were guilty of that a little bit yesterday for 1 or 2 chances, but we were testing the goalkeeper. I think the quality of chances or quality of, you know, the final shot could have been better, well, for most of the time. But it's really promising. I think the one thing that will work for and against us this season is how happy the referees are to put the hand in the pocket. I'm only saying that because it was once or twice, I think the Cunha counter-attack was the main one, where Martinez didn't commit because he was already on a booking and he didn't commit. Luke Shaw, it happened to as well, I think over towards the end of the first half or second half. So I think against these big teams where you got defenders on bookings, you can run at them because they're gonna be scared to you know, put the tackle in. So you know, there's so many players that I thought were fantastic. Cunha was, to be fair, I made a couple of comments the last few weeks about the amount of good player, but probably spent a little bit too much money on him. If he can play like he did yesterday, but start adding goals and assists, 50 million would look like a very good deal by the end of the season. Even Nunes, there was times when Nunes picked up positions and I thought an actual proper explosive winger would have a great game, but the rest of his game was bang on. I think his passing still left a little bit to be desired, but his overall game was brilliant as well. And every single one of the players on the pitch yesterday did really well, and I think contributed towards, you know, attacking moves throughout the match, even the defenders.
I think with Nunes, it can almost be just like, I think he finds it like the athletic part of the game so easy, twisting, turning, especially like with his back to our goal, like turning and pressing, going past players, that the final action, I just find he's a little bit careless. It's like, I've just gone through for poor people. And like, even like when he takes that passing action, like, it's like he's trying to like play a bit of a trick shot. Like, it's almost like it's too easy for him.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, it's just like, he's like, I'm just a bit like scattergun with his approach. But
I listened to the post-match, the press conference of Gary O'Neill. It was only about 11-12 minutes, but he got asked about Cunha and Nunes, and I think he knows that Nunes is an unbelievable footballer, and he said, but I know I can help him become a much better footballer, and that's why it's just encouraging at the moment to hear the right sort of things from him. I think it was difficult with Lopetegui. Obviously, his press conferences weren't an easy listen because of his broken English and so on as well. But with O'Neill, I think so far all the right things are being said, and you know, his attitude is bang on. And I know it's still very early days, but it's good so far.
I think after that performance, we've all said that Mateus Cunha is not an out-and-out number 9, but Matt Hobbs is a I'm probably going to tweet the apology should be louder than the disrespect, because we've all said he's not a number 9, and I'm still convinced that he's not a number 9. Whilst the game was going on last night, I had a message off my mate who was a Liverpool fan, and he said, "How much would it cost to get Matheus Cunha?" And I was like, "Well, we've just bought him for like 50 million." And then he was like, "He's unbelievable." I said, honestly, this is the best game he's ever played. Like, it's so different. But Finn, what have they been feeding him? Because he's stronger, he's quicker. He still can't finish, but he was just a man on a mission. I mean, he sliced and diced the butcher going through on goal, which made him get pulled at half time, and he was subbed. But isn't it mental how a change of manager, not even that much of a change of philosophy, can do this to players?
And it's so strange that your sort of preconception that, oh, he's got the sort of foreign European trophy winning manager, that should be the one for him. They speak the same language. And then you've got Gary O'Neill come in and seemingly unlocks him into another level that we've never seen. It doesn't make any sense. But yeah, he was superb. I think I've got a couple of mates that are Man United fans, as everyone does in the Midlands, or wherever you are. And they, when you see it from the other side, they were saying, God, Casemiro looks like he's running in mud. And so, and you do see maybe, albeit we're against one of the top sides, maybe that area of the pitch sort of favoured us, because this butcher thing, I'm not having it. He's terrible and he's tiny. Casemiro and him really made Cunha look amazing. But I think 90% of it has got to go on Cunha as well. He was superb. I just think, you know, those runs where we went, oh my God, how's he done that? It was also because you could have driven a bar straight through the middle of that Man United defence, and he exploited it, and he was really clever, really skillful. As you say, can't finish, but every play we brought up so far, Cunha's got everything but can't finish. Nunes got everything but can't pass. There's going to be something that means that they're at Wolves, not Real Madrid. But yeah, the plays that we've got there, my God, relegation shouldn't even be in our mouths.
Yeah, but that's the thing, though. We created so many gilt-edged chances. Like, Silva had, for me, 2 really, really good chances. For me, should be putting them away. Cunha should have scored at least one of his chances. Wang had a good couple of efforts. And, on another day, I thought Onana had a good game apart from the penalty, which we'll come on to. I thought he probably kept them in it, apart from his diagonal balls outright that were lofted, because obviously that was the pressing trigger, apparently. But I think throughout pre-season we've said, like, the decision making has to be better in the final third, Dave. But I noticed last night that it's not just the decision making with the player with the ball; it's those up in support. Like, I felt the runs could have been a lot more intelligent. There's a couple of 3-on-2s where they're not keeping the width to stretch the centre half, so like going really narrow, where they could have easily worked another 3-on-2 pretty closer to the goal.
Yeah, I think I was going to say that as well. I think obviously the Cunha chances, I think are unlucky anyway. I think, maybe being harsh on in terms of his finishing. I think the one chance towards the end of the first half, it was very, very close. The second half one, he'd run forward about 30 yards. So to get so much power behind that ball, he probably was shattered anyway. But yeah, that first chance, Matt, the 3-on-2, I felt the supporting runs for Cunha could have been better. I think obviously that's something that Wolves will work on. But at the same time, the fact that we're actually got this, we're outnumbering defences, we're getting players in the box, is just something that we've not seen before. And I think we'll have to give Lopetegui some credit for that, because I fully believe he would have worked on that quite a lot in the summer, because we saw, our last pre-season friendly, we scored 3 goals in. The goals against Porto and the goals against whoever else were when we were getting players into the area. But yeah, I think just that the positioning of certain players on the attacks could have been better. But when you spoke about Fabio, I think, yeah, Fabio had chances, or 1 or 2 when he had his back to goal, but he was picking up fantastic areas in and around the area. He was picking up the spaces, and I think another day he could have grabbed a goal. I thought Onana was very, very good, very brave goalkeeper, probably too brave in one incident, obviously, but the way he threw himself sometimes at the ball. So we were just unlucky. I think another day we could have really shocked Manchester United.
I think that athleticism in the middle of the park will cause a lot of problems for teams, or should cause a lot of problems for teams this season. I mean, I look at Burnley against Man City, and like they played some unbelievable football against the champions, but they're such a small side. I know they got Sanderberger, but again, he's not the most athletic. He's a big bloke, but that midfield 2/3 have got the ability to absolute steamroll teams. But not only that, because they can defend those like large spaces. That allows the likes of Semedo, who probably had his best game in a Wolf shirt, the likes of Aït-Nouri to go forward a bit, because they know if they do go forward, they've got players who can cover the ground. I thought Lamine, it was absolutely unbelievable. That's the fact that we picked him up for, what was it, Dave, about £7 or £8 million.
Yeah, just under 10.
Credit goes to the club for that, because again, what a astute sign he's been. João Gomez.
And just on Lamina, Matt, as well. Do you remember at the Express and Star podcast, Dave? Apparently, we were offered Lamina for $1 to $2 million, wasn't it? The year before.
The year before.
Bruno Lage didn't want him, but still a bargain regardless at the price we paid.
I tweeted about four years ago that I really liked him. We should go for him.
I think he's just one of those players.
He's just been a bit of a dickhead in the past, though, hasn't he? That's the thing.
Yeah, I think he's just got his head screwed on. He's come to the right environment.
28, 29. Yeah. So, but I think throughout the team, I thought Kilman grew into the game. I thought Dawson was excellent. Second half, Neto had a better game. What were your thoughts on, before we come on onto Semedo, Dave, what were your thoughts on Sarabia's contribution to the game?
It's hard with Sarabia because he's just one of those players. You look at him and you can see he's a quality player, but for me, just physically, I can't see him. We're going to be a team that plays counter-attacking football, and you either need to be, I don't know. I think Nunez has got something about him, so it can work for him. Neto's obviously lightning quick, so it can work for him. Sarabia, I just don't know. He reminds me a bit like a David Silva, so he should work quite well. Maybe you chuck a player of that mould into a City team that are going to dominate possession. I think he'd do well. I think with the style of play that we will play, sometimes he will get lost. I think he'll have moments throughout the season, but I wouldn't have been surprised to see him not start yesterday and either started Hwang or Fabio ahead of him. I don't know. I'm not going to say he was anonymous yesterday, but I don't think he had he was probably, in terms of impact, I think he was one of towards the bottom in our squad list, to be honest.
I think that it was probably a game crying out for Hwang, because we were in transition. We were fantastic. And I think Sarabia finds it quite hard to keep up sometimes.
Yeah.
With the pace of what we're playing at, because everyone around him is a speed merchant, aren't they? And I think, like you say, Dave, it's better when you approach a game, probably against the lesser teams, where we're going to have a lot more possession, and you might need something a bit more cute to unlock a defence. Because like Finn said, you could drive a bus through Manchester United last night, but we made that because we didn't sit in, and because I thought we would. I thought it was going to be backs to the wall stuff, and we pressed them really well. But sorry, Dave, what were you going to say then?
Yeah, I think I think that was bang on. I think against big teams, you're not going to have a lot of the ball. It's difficult for him. But say, for argument's sake, a few weeks we play Luton or whatever. If you can have him sort of maybe just a tad deeper, and every time you're attacking, just have him sat in and around the edge of the box, whether that's to just recycle the ball or running late, I think he'll be an asset there. But yeah, I think in terms of impact, he struggled yesterday. Neto, I thought, was fantastic. Like you said, second half. I think the one thing frustrated me a little bit was obviously he was getting down, but he was on his right-hand side every time, and every single time he tried to cut back onto his left. So I think it was quite predictable towards the end. But I thought, again, if you can get these quality performances from Neto and keep him fit, that's going to be a real asset for this season.
I don't necessarily think he's predictable, but in the second half, a lot of the time when it was backs to the walls, it was Bruno Fernandes coming over, wasn't it, and closing him down, I think. So he was trying to get it onto his left, but more often than not succeeding. Because I think if Fernandes thinks, if I'm getting too close here, he's going to skim me, because he knows he's got him for pace. But
he was just a nuisance regardless. I genuinely thought it was one of the better Pedro Neto games we've seen for a long time anyway.
Yeah. I like the fact that they were on opposite flanks there, because it meant they were coming inside and again causing Man United problems through the middle, which is, again, like I said, we steamrolled them. But let's talk about Nelson Semedo, Finn. Doherty signing in the summer to give him some competition, and that was probably the best fullback performance I've seen from a Wolves player in a very long time. Fantastic in one-on-one defending against some very tricky customers, and also offered a little bit going forward.
Absolutely, yeah, I'd agree that statement. Yeah, I don't know what more I can add than
Could you move
probably
on?
pretty much. I mean, to be fair, Garnacho didn't have the best game. There were a few where Semedo didn't have to do anything, where he just knocked it out for a goal kick anyway. But yeah, it's normally been one or the other, hasn't it, with Semedo? He's had well, probably not too many attacking highlights, maybe one goal in the FA Cup. But you know what I mean? As in, he'd look good going forward, but then there'd be some clangor at the back. He'd give away a penalty or he keeps someone onside, etc., etc. But yeah, probably the most well-rounded and the most complete fullback performance I've seen in a long time. I don't know whether I'm going too over the top because Garnacho putting an absolute stinker and Mount on that side was pretty anonymous as well. So it wasn't too much to deal with. But no, yeah, I completely agree with what you said.
Yeah, I saw someone say that he was caught napping for their goal, but I'm not so sure about that, Dave. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the goal back, but there was a couple of times in the game before where Jose Sarr got caught in two minds and just made some very rash decisions. Also made some very good saves as well, but we've seen it time and time again where in instances where he probably should stay on his line, he rushes out, and in instances where he should rush out, he stays on his line. Like his decision making when he's got a little bit of time to think about it is awful.
Yeah, I think the goal, I've only watched it back the once, to be honest. I watched some quick highlights. At the time, I think it was Bruno who made the initial pass. That should have been stopped. That should have been just cut out before that pass was even made. But yeah, Sarr's positioning was the first thing I noticed when that ball came across on the highlights. I was like, what is he doing so far off his line? I think it's still a great ball. And Varane, in terms of, power on his header, it's still going to be a difficult header to stop. But I think if he's on his line there and his position's a bit better, he's got a much better chance of, keeping the score at 0-0. But yeah, I think it should have stopped before it even got to, was it Wan-Bissaka who got the assist? I think it should have been stopped before then anyway. Yeah. But it was frustrating because, in terms of clear-cut chances, Manchester United have very, very little. And I think credit to Wolves for that because they restricted United, a team who sliced through us, had full dominance last time we played them at Old Trafford. But yeah, it's just unfortunate. It's just but at the end of the day, if you go to Old Trafford, if you go to Stamford Bridge, Etihad, Anfield, Emirates, if you go there and dominate and don't take your chances, you're going to get punished, full stop. It happened to us, I think Spurs, was it, at the start of last season? We battered them, but you don't take your chances. All it takes is Harry Kane to have one opportunity and he'll put the ball in the back of the net. So that's just something we have to learn. And I hope this performance, as good as it has been, it doesn't replicate Bruno Lage's first season. You remember those first few games were unbelievable. I just hope Gary O'Neill doesn't look at this and think, I need to change something, because if we play like that, we will be absolutely fine this season.
Yeah, it's frustrating, but Finney, it was nice to see that despite going 1-0 down, they kept piling the pressure on, and probably must have been about 10 chances in the last 10 minutes. Some really, really good chances, and I thought Silva did well when he came on. Kalajdzic caused a bit of nuisance, but let's talk about that decision. That watching it on the telly, obviously we got the benefit of the replay. And as soon as the ball went in and he wiped him out, I said penalty, that is. Then I watched the replay, and the next thought that went through my head is, I hope we don't miss this. It didn't even cross my mind that it wasn't going to be a penalty. It's just, it's not even VAR thing that's the problem. It's human error, because, okay, you can probably forgive the referee for not giving a penalty because it happened so quickly, but then to VAR to look at it and not ask him to go and review it it's just negligible.
Yeah, I know this is the first game of the season, and I don't want to get too existential already, or we've got nowhere else to go for the rest of the season. I can't believe it's starting so early on, but it just all came to a head, as you say, in that moment where you watched on TV and they're replaying it over. And I just knew it wasn't going to get given. And you're going through and you're thinking, God, this summer we've been hamstrung, if you choose to believe that, we've been hamstrung by these FFP rules that favoured the big clubs. We put in a performance against all odds. Everyone's saying Wolves are going to get smashed, get your Man United players in your FPL. We put in that performance. You could say, the yellows were being unfairly dished out, but there wasn't too much going on. You think it's culminated in this big moment. Give us a penalty we deserve. And again, it's something that favours those big sides. And I was there, first game of the season, thinking, what's the point? What is the point? You could say Wolves had to finish with the chances. The XG without the penalty was 2.5. Yeah, we should have scored goals. But we deserved a penalty there. And again, it's the first game of the season and I'm questioning I know we get into it every season. Corruption, what's the point? Why do we even bother? every single person apart from maybe a few Man United fans that kid themselves and Eric Ten Hag, although I think he'll be
and Onana
defending some other more controversial things soon, so he's getting his practice in. But I just, you two maybe put it a bit more eloquently, but I just, in the ground, Neto was the only one that really appealed. Obviously, you had the Wolves end, Kalajdzic was on the floor, and everyone else sort of played on. It was only Neto going mental. I then went to my phone as well, and everyone's saying there is no chance this isn't given. This has to be a penalty. This has to be a penalty. In the ground, I don't know that you felt it as well, Dave. He ran over to the screen area, didn't he? So everyone's going mental. He's coming to the screen. He's coming to the screen. And then it's just every single part of it just screams incompetency. I don't want to throw the corruption word in too early, but when there's no explanation, when they've got the ability, they've said, to show the recordings now of, right, okay, let's hear what's happened, and they're not going to do it, you're only going to hear those questions. And it is just probably incompetency more than corruption. But if we're going to have it all season, you're going to hear the word corruption several times from me. But David, your turn.
I don't think it is corruption, though. I
so
think
it's got to be gross incompetency. It's got to
and
be.
I think it's
big club bias.
Bottle, because that baldy prick probably didn't want to have to make a decision in the 98th minute and think, I've probably got another minute now and the game's over, and it's just going to pass him by. He doesn't want to make that decision. But also, Dave, I think they're too proud. How often do we see them go to the monitor and overturn it?
I know. I mean, going back to the actual incident, like in the ground, there was obviously that one. I think there was one just after where someone else went down, and I thought, well, surely some of these have got half a chance of a shout. And then obviously at United, they don't have the big screens; they've got like the LED boards, haven't they? So then it came up on that, and I thought, let's see. But yeah, like you say, I feel like Simon Hooper started making his way across to the dugout, and then that's when it said no penalty, and then he got the booking out. So I honestly believe, well, a couple of things. I think goalkeepers are too protected for a start. If Kalajdzic had done that to Onana, free kick straight away, booking. If you watch the Everton game, I think they were very unlucky with that incident where they didn't get a goal as well. But I fully believe it's the occasion, the venue, and the badge. Honestly, if that was down the other end and Wolves were 1-0 up, I couldn't. Honest to God, that would have been a penalty. Honest to God,
without the VAR,
he would have given it
straight away
because he would have had the home crowd on his back. He would have like, shit, I got to give this. If I'm wrong, VAR will tell me I'm wrong. I know for a fact. But why can't VAR say to him, it's probably worth you having a look at this, because it is about, like, how can three people, the referee, the referee, I'm not going to count the assistant, the referee, VAR, and assistant VAR, how can they look at that and think, nah, there's no, it's definitely not a penalty? That's bullshit.
It's clearly and obviously a huge error.
But they keep saying, we want to trust the referees more. We want the game to flow more. But you've taken 45 seconds to have a look at it. So why didn't you make the right decision to begin with? So it's and I don't think it will come to this. But and I've seen Leeds fans bring up the Sarr one. Matt, I remember you clearly. I don't know if it was on the review or the podcast.
It's a stonewall penalty. Yeah.
So, but then United fans are using that as an excuse from a game
both wrong
over a year ago, and Leeds won the game anyway, so it didn't cost them the points. I had a United fan
regardless of whether they won, though, it still should have been a penalty.
But then a United fan saying, well, Leeds went down because of this. I was like, well, no, they fucking didn't, because they won the game.
Leeds went down shit.
Yeah.
That's it. It is that. Not only the Man United fans, but also Ten Hag, as I said. Just come on. Every single man and their dog has said it. You're not going to get anywhere when you're going to have manager, because you're going to have the one manager going, oh, it is, and then the other manager. Just come together, and we might. And you probably aren't going to get there a little bit sooner. That's probably me thinking a little bit too ideally. But come on, mate. Like, that really, it tipped me over the edge, that did, seeing the Ten Hag and Onana going, oh, no penalty, no penalty. Come on, let's just all hopefully move forward with it where we can all be a little bit more honest. But it's never going to happen, and we're going to have this every season, and I'm going to be existentially.
I don't get why managers. Why can't Ten Hag? He admitted they didn't play very well. So yeah, I think on another day that would have been a penalty. Everyone would have respected.
It's not going to change the decision.
Yeah.
Even Onana saying, like, no, it was just two big guys coming together, and then I saw that post saying, well, he willingly took furosemide thinking he could take it, which is his like post-pregnancy pills, which can be used in performance enhancing. It can like mask other
Oh,
performance
that's what
enhancing
we
drugs
got
in
done
your
with,
urine.
didn't it?
Yeah, he got banned for that. So I just could not believe it wasn't given. It's like it's not even a foul. It's like it's worse than that. He's just absolutely wiped him out. I don't know. I'd love to know what the explanation was and how the process sounded like from.
And they've got the
They're
ability
recording
to.
it, aren't they?
Yeah.
Why can't
Yeah,
they?
and they
Yeah, why
never
can't they
will.
release that?
Because what they'll do at the end of the season is put out a clear offside and go, look how great we were. We got this
they
offside.
went on Monday
and
Night
go,
Football, didn't they?
Yeah,
It was just absolute
it'll be the
PR
same again.
spin. Yeah.
At the end of this season, oh, he's 5 yards offside, Michael. Oh, thanks, mate. That gives us nothing. And they're going, oh, we're trying to be more clear with you. Give us ones like that. What have they said there? Because it. Oh,
Do you remember? Do you know Wolves have played against Onana before?
Yeah, in a friendly.
Yeah, you were there, Matt, actually.
Warsaw.
Yeah, Bescott. Yeah, you remember that?
Yeah.
Oh, that team was mad.
Yeah.
Donny van der Beek, David
They had
Neres.
Huntelaar up front, didn't they?
Yeah, I've just seen. Yeah, Frankie De Jong, Tagliafico, De Ligt. Mate, that team was mad that game.
Did we beat them?
Nah, 1-1. Never scored a late penalty, didn't he? Will Norris starting goal for us. We had Elliot Watt on the bench, Benny Ashley Seal, come on, Pedro Gonçalves. What a side. Rafa Mir, Cameron John.
But I just can't believe. And Gary O'Neill gets booked. That won't be rescinded because I don't think they can rescind yellow cards, can they, for players and managers? So it's just, I was seeing the missus was like, you need to calm down. I was like, how can you? I was like, Adrian, watch that and tell me he's had a penalty or not. She went, are they allowed to do that? I was like, exactly. It's like, no, they're not allowed to do that. As you can tell, she's not a key football fan. The game probably knows a bit more than George though. But I just honestly, I could not believe it. And it's such a like bitter end to the game because I wrote my article for the BBC early this morning, and most of it was centered around his poor decision. And then I was like, you know what, like we played really well, but. That's, I feel like that detracts from the decision, detracts from how well we played. But just the last word on the game, Dave. Some really, really encouraging signs in there, and whether that's down to Gary O'Neill's tactics or whatnot, it appears that the players are happy with his approach in training and surprise, which you always get these positive PR stories when a new manager joins. But some real positives to take from that performance alone. Yeah,
for sure. Like I said earlier, when you can go to a match, regardless win, draw, or lose, and the players are given 100, 110%, then, happy days. I'm really happy with that performance. And if Gary O'Neill can get that level of performance out of the players, I think we'll be absolutely fine this season. And, Brighton on Saturday, tough game, but I think, we played them last season. I think, we're unlucky with, I say unlucky, but Semedo got sent off. I think we gave them a really good game. So, tough match, but I think we got a good chance.
I feel like one thing we are going to see throughout the season is Sasha Kalajdzic's just getting absolutely walloped. He doesn't I know it's a big bloke, but I think like defenders and especially goalkeepers, they just chuck themselves at him because he's a big bloke and he's not going to get protected. So hopefully his knees hold out because we can't be doing that again. But the games are back at Molineux. Premier League comes back to Molineux on Saturday. Wolves versus Brighton, another tough game for Wolves. It's going to be a tough start for the season, but Finn, I personally think this will be a tougher test than the United game.
Yeah, one of the encouraging signs tactically that I hadn't mentioned before in that Man United game was, and it was also in the Tifo video, I'm not taking credit, but how well we dealt with the new fashionable box midfield. Because with Shaw coming inside, so that's really promising signs for all these tactical perv managers that are coming through, that we should be able to deal with that. But Brighton are just a whole different entity where they're just mental. You've seen Pep saying, I can't even figure it out. Great to watch, and I think we saw the early days of that, didn't we, in that game where Semedo got sent off. They were bubbling up. Matoma was starting to break through, and now they look unstoppable. I mean, if you want any game, you want Luton at home to start the season, which has probably put the fear up a little bit because they did look very, very sharp. But that is the game that you'd want. I think we've definitely got a chance. Looking at that Wolves performance as well, definitely got a chance. But I don't know. They scare me. And I just look back to a few years ago. I think it was the game before COVID, wasn't it? That 0-0 with Brighton. How far they've come in that time that it was like, oh, we've got to go and watch Brighton. In a way, I'm expected to see what they throw at us. It should be a really good game if we go at them like we did with United as well.
Yeah, I noticed that Brighton. I think because they know that teams are going to wise up to how they're playing, started to go a bit more direct as well, which it's just mixing it up. De Zerbi is obviously a fantastic coach. They're going to be out without Alexis McAllister, Dave, Caicedo as well, but they've just gone and manufactured another midfielder from somewhere, and they've brought in players back from on loan in Belgium. There's some model they run the club with.
It's mad, isn't it? Like the for a start, the Caicedo 115 million is ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. But the fact now that obviously he's gone, and I think they're in talks to sign someone from a French team for like less than 20 million. But surely the selling team now are going to think, oh, well, I know you just sold him for 115 million and try and demand like top dollar for him.
Yeah.
One model. How long they can keep it up, I don't know, because there's not many teams that can recycle these players and still play top quality football. It's a fantastic model for them. But yeah, I think I caught the highlights of their game. Interesting, some of the goals. I think the first one was Solly March running in late and getting a header. I didn't think Luton were great. I think obviously, as everybody knows, I think they'll struggle. But Brighton can put teams to the sword, so that's what we've got to be careful of. And obviously, we saw that got smashed against them at the Amex. So I think a point here would be a good result for Wolves. But if everyone's fit, everyone's sharp again, like they were on Monday night, I think we've got every chance.
Yeah, I think I think Luton really struggled in those wide areas, in those 1v1s. Which, to be fair, so did we against them when Matoma, wasn't it, against Semedo. We ended up getting sent off. So
yeah,
it's one we got to look for. Estepinian as well had a really good game. So I think it's one we got to keep our eye on. Maybe we'll double up. I know that Neto and Nunes were coming back as well against United. So, Dave, how would you line up? Would you go unchanged, or would you Hwang for Sarabia?
Yeah, Hwang for Sarabia. I'd like to see Fabio for Sarabia, maybe, but I don't think that would be the case. I think maybe Hwang. Just the thing with Hwang is, I know some people don't enjoy him, but I think his work rate is something with Wolves as a team. How we're going to play and how we're going to start. His work rate, goes. He's underappreciated. I think that's one of his strengths, and it's amazing because he was a player over 12 months ago, or just over 12 months ago, that I was happy to see the club move on. And now I think he's a valuable squad member. So I think he got in the right areas as well against United. He had one or two chances he probably should have connected with better and tested Onana a little bit better with. But I think he's certainly a good player, and in and around the 6 to 12 yard box, he'll put the ball in the back of the net.
Finn, do you think we're going to have a bit more possession against Brighton, or do you think we'll try and match them and try and press them? I think it's going to, from what we've seen of, we're going to dub it Gazball. It could be a really interesting matchup.
I hope we don't. I hope we go at it the same way, because it could be an absolute, it'd be first on match of the day, I think, for the neutral at the very least. I don't know. That's one game away at one of the top 6 sides, so we don't fully know Gazball yet, do we really? But I'm very interested to see how we'll tackle this one. I don't know how he'll go for it, to be honest. I think looking at your key threats, it's a Stupinan, isn't it, on the left? So as we said, Semedo was so good in that first game. It's going to be a real test for him there.
Stinker.
Yeah.
That's what happened last season, though, isn't it? We've just got to make sure, every time Semedo had a good game, Johnny, and he had a crap one, and Johnny, and then it was vice versa. So if he can keep that level of consistency, like you said earlier, Matt, he was like by far one of his best performances in a Wolves shirt.
That Adingra was good as well. The lad that brought back from on loan, the winger,
Mitoma regen.
Yeah. Not quite. Doesn't look very Mitoma like. Probably
no, not that as in.
As opposite is good.
You know what though, as well. I don't think obviously they got. Is it Steele in goal? Is this no?
Yeah.
Steele in goal. I think obviously he's an okay keeper, but I think he can be tested. I think we can test him, and I think you play like you did. He won't make the saves at Onana, and he's not as brave as Onana. So I think if we attack like we did, we've got a chance of scoring a couple of goals.
Yeah.
No, I mean, he's a good keeper, but I think they've prioritised like distribution over like shot stopping ability, which is the way the game's going. It's absolutely mental because first and foremost, as a goalkeeper, you keep the ball at the back of the net, but he's I do like him. They have got a good team, but they've brought in Dahoud, James Milner as well. Has got some good experience. Solly March is a player I think is criminally underrated. I think he's a really good player. I wouldn't be surprised if he's involved in the England setup at some point. I know he's 29, but it's going to be a tough game. But hopefully they can build on it. Dave, is at the end of the world if we lose this game?
No, of course not. But you just need that level of performance again. I think you get that level of performance. These are hard games. The games at Molineux are tough as well. I think where our points on paper are going to come over the next few weeks are probably away, believe it or not. So anything else is a bonus. I would take a point. I'd be happy with a point. Anything extra would be huge. I think we're capable. We've got good quality, and I think teams are scared of Newcastle. I think we always give Newcastle a really good game. We should have beaten them at Molineux last season. I think we should have got something against Brighton last season at Molineux. So if we can make Molineux a fortress, get the atmosphere like it was in the away end yesterday, Finn. I thought the atmosphere was brilliant. Matt, as soon as as soon as the team came out, Gary O'Neill's Barmy Army, I was like, wow.
You could hear it on the telly. Alex,
but like genuinely,
needs one less syllable in his name.
Yeah,
Gary
I like the one. No, when I
O'Neill.
sing Barmy Army, Gary O'Neill's Barmy Army.
Yeah, it just doesn't quite fit, does it? Gary O'Neill's.
I like no, it just the atmosphere is really good. Wound the United fans up straight away with a little Wanderers Boys are on a bender tune about Greenwood. But yeah, if we can get the atmosphere as good as it was in the away end, I think we've got every chance of beating these teams.
Alex Crook tweeted, didn't he, from TalkSport, like, a fair play to Wolves fans to getting well behind the manager, loud and proud, shows that all this noise isn't a true reflection of people's thoughts and feelings. I think it is a true reflection, but I don't think, and thankfully, that the fans aren't channeling that at Gary O'Neill. They're channeling the board through social media. But the way that we played against United, it's going to sound quite negative, but I don't think it's sustainable for the rest of the season with that squad because of how small it is, really. Like, it's high intensity. Yeah. There's players there who are quite prone to injuries. They're going to pick up a lot of bookings as well because they do get caught. Lamina, João Gomez, Semedo, all love a booking. You know, they need 2 or 3 alongside, I think.
You know, I like Football Manager as well. When you like play a game and press style, and then by halfway through the season, your whole team is done. They're like, nah, like they get injuries or tired all the time. So yeah, I agree, Matt. I think that the intensity was one of the things that impressed me the most yesterday. But I think this is good in a way. This is good for the playing squad because I think Jeff Shee should be there. I imagine on Saturday. Apparently, he will be. If we can put a good performance in. I think it shows that Gary O'Neill, to a degree, will know what he's doing, and it should help him secure another couple of players because I think there will be suspensions, there will be injuries with how card happy the referees are at the moment. So yeah, I think we'll get 1 or 2 more in on loan, hopefully.
I think we will as well. I think there's more to come, but I think there's more outgoings. Gonzalo Guedes has got a number, Dave. Remontada.
You know, I'm not against it. The expectations this summer are just like rock bottom. Genuinely, I just do like anyone that wants a shirt, anyone that can kick a ball, have a go. But honest, that's why I thought yesterday. Every single Wolves fan went in there with no expectation. We didn't know what to expect. We didn't know whether we probably thought United were going to beat us, which they did, but like a lot more comfortably. And I think that's why we got behind the team. And now I'm happy to give everyone a fresh start. Lopetegui obviously came in November, whenever it is, put down his marker, and Guedes obviously didn't like it. O'Neill sounds like he's the manager that's a bit more approachable and can work with him. So if he's happy to do that, then happy days.
Did we not say that Sarabia role that he was currently playing, is that not the role that we said Gedge was best in at Valencia, that sort of second striker role? We didn't. I think
Gedge Cunha could be one, That could be a nice little.
Was it Maxi Gomez? He played
Valencia,
yeah. There's like a second striker. That was his most fruitful season in front of goal.
Yeah, exactly.
So get him in.
Look what a 1-0 away defeat to Manchester United. It's nice to be positive though, because there's been a lot of shit the last few months, and it's still there. But thankfully, football is a welcome distraction.
But as you say, in that away end, it didn't feel like it at all. I think it's it's almost, and one of the positives maybe of that penalty is it might even drive it even more, that sort of backs against the wall, us against the world, Wolves is probably the best Wolves, and this might even spur it on a little bit more.
I don't know if this is a question, Matt, but who would have taken it, you reckon, Fabio?
It was a question someone asked, but it's not. I haven't put it in the notes. Yeah, I think Juan gave the ball to Fabio.
Yeah, I would have backed Fabio. He had the one against Burnley as well. Remember the first COVID season?
It'd probably be Sarabia, if not, wouldn't it?
He was off though.
Yeah,
And
that's what I
Cunha
mean.
was
If not,
off,
Yeah, so Fabio. Yeah.
Question time, lads. Thanks for those who sent the questions in on Twitter this week. There was a load of really good questions, so I tried to select as many as I can before we end the podcast. Amar's Music Show has asked, and I feel like we've already covered this a little bit, but how much was yesterday's performance down to Lopetegui? Whilst O'Neill had to manage the game itself, the prep, and even some of the way players were played, for example, Nunes in the wing has been from J-Lo. Can O'Neill sustain his level of play for the season? We've talked about sustaining that, Dave, but Nunes on the ring, on the ring, that's a different show altogether. Nunes on the wing is was a Bruno Lage tactic, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah. But I think it can work. It just depends, the way second half he was drifting in field a lot more. I think that helped obviously because Hwang was on as well. I think J-Lo in terms of preparation, in terms of getting the players to a certain level of fitness and sharpness, and certain elements of that game for sure would have been down to Lopetegui, like I said earlier in the podcast as well. But O'Neill had a tough job because you've got a week of pure uncertainty. The Athletic did a good piece on him yesterday, over last night or this morning, about how there was obviously going to be some element of nervousness at the start of this week. And as soon as O'Neill came in, it just disappeared because of his intensity, his understanding in training sessions. So far it bodes well. And
he sent an email around as well to all staff, didn't he?
Yeah, it just sounds like he's making all the right moves early on.
Yeah, basically saying how much of an honour it felt for him to be at this club, and we all need to pull together, and looking forward to working with you all, which is ultimately is going to be judged on results on the pitch, right? But little touches like that, for me, it doesn't sound like a manager who feels like he's doing us a favour, which is what I felt with Lopetegui throughout his tenure. It's like Wolves are beneath me. So it's nice to have that, but again, it's been one game. It could all come tumbling down. I'm just trying to caveat things because I know people will be like, when we get beat to Brighton, well, you lot said.
But I think the one thing that was made, and I think it would have been nice, was almost breath of fresh air when Lopetegui, obviously after the Celtic game, knew he was going to go. He was apparently just almost unapproachable. Apparently they got by. They did their training. They did what they needed to do.
Business-like, wasn't it?
It was a prickly atmosphere. So I think it was almost a breath of fresh air. You got someone there. I thought I loved is it Sean Derry on the touchline last night as well? I don't know if they showed him much on the TV, Matt, but he just looks like a no-nonsense guy, and it will work. But it wasn't.
You can see that in the intensity of the training videos.
For sure, yeah. I love that. But there will be other times when I think it didn't work at Palace. He got sacked in the end or let go by Vieira because he just went in on the players. So you've got to, and I'm sure he would have found that balance. I think he'll learn from that. He's still quite a young coach himself as well. But yeah, I like that. I like that a lot.
Dan Quinton has asked, do you think that referees / VAR should be mic'd up as they are in the Women's World Cup so they can explain decisions that they've made after a check? I have seen a couple of games in the Women's World Cup, and it's mad that they've got them mic'd up and they have to explain to the whole stadium. But do you think that they should be accountable in the same way as players, managers have, with media duties after games to explain decisions? Have you seen that ref support account on Twitter? By and large, a bit of a helmet. And his argument was, when he was asked about this, because I remember seeing, is that, well, it's only going to be the bad. You don't get players coming out at the end of the game explaining why they didn't play very well. I thought, you do.
Of course you do. Yeah.
You do. And with managers getting it wrong, they may not agree with the interview, but they get asked the questions. So, Finn, do you think, question one, do you think they should be mic'd up and explain the decision after a VAR check? And number two, do you think they should hold post-match interviews?
In an ideal world, I'd like mic'd up the entire game, because I think, take that Man United game, we'd have gone, no penalty, we don't think it's a foul. Like, what more could he have said? There was nothing he could have said over the tannoy at that moment for me to go, all right, fair enough. I think almost hearing, maybe not in the stadium like with rugby, etc., or on TV, but afterwards, the process. I'd love that. I don't think you're going to get much value because whoever the decision has gone against, as soon as they just announce it, it's going to be met with backlash, isn't it? Regardless, I'd like the real controversial ones to be able to hear the audio to rationalise. And what was the other part? Be made accountable. I do see the point that if they only go like Sky Sports go, right, there's a controversial decision, the ref got it wrong, can you do the interview? Then again, if you did it for a game where there'd been no decisions whatsoever and they got the ref on, they go, well, that was a waste of time because he's gone, yep, that yellow card was right or whatever. So it is a tricky one to balance up, but in some sort of way, there's got to be a justification instead of just an apology. And again, even a justification, when you've seen with the apology today, it's still not going to give us any points, is it? It's not going to magic any points, any real justification, but just that I think it would help a little bit after a game, maybe to hear the current moment than maybe like an interview, if you know what I mean.
Before I give my thoughts on it, Dave, what are your thoughts on both of those points about mic'd up and post-match?
I do like the mic'd up thing in the women's game, although they're just telling the ground what the decision is and what for. I'm sure there'll be some mishaps or impressions of referees doing the rounds. Like once we start hearing them, what they actually sound like. But the media one's difficult because it's so, as we see with players and managers, it's so easy to twist what people say. And I think the FA and PGMOL will be so like, I don't think they won't do it. They'll need referees to do a media course and do a politician's course for about 2 years, I reckon, just to give the safest ever answers. So I don't think they'll do it. But and again, it's how rare is it that you come away from the game and think, fucking hell, the referee had a good game today, and you'll never see an interview after a referee has a good game. So I think that's the thing they'll say. You know what? The only ever time I saw a referee give an interview, this was match of the day. I'm talking like 16, 17 years ago. There was a game postponed, like waterlogged pitch or something, or snow, I think it was. And the referee did an interview, said, yeah, it just wasn't safe for the players on match of the day. And that's the only ever time I've seen a referee interviewed that's refereed a match. I think it would be beneficial, but I just don't think none of it will happen. Not for
I don't think the post-match interviews would be any good because it would be so sanitized. And you know what would happen? Yeah. It would be, John, you gave a yellow card there. Why? It'll be, well, I thought the player made contact, but I haven't watched it back, so until I watch it. But it'll just be like that. It'll just be crap. Whereas I think if they have to explain their decision to the arena, well, once I've checked it, I think there's no hiding place. I also think it would make them more accountable. So, for example, last night, if the referee would have gone over to the monitor, looked at that and thought, fucking hell, he's absolutely wiped him out. I've got to now explain why I don't think that's not a penalty. He ain't going to wash. You can't hide. So that's what I would do. You would have, for any decisions where you have to go over to the monitor, it's clear and obvious. You would either have to state your claim as to why you overturned it or why you haven't overturned it. And I think that's the only way you get around it, personally. Post-match interviews would be a futile exercise. You'll just have wishy-washy nonsense. And again, people aren't asked about good refereeing performances, so I'd imagine the questions would be very much like picking out the negatives, which, again, I'm not siding referees, but that's no good for anyone. So, but all of this is pie in the sky. It's never going to happen. Ad Sidway has asked, having watched Gary O'Neill's interview on Monday Night Football after the game, he referred to instilling more confidence in the likes of Neto when it comes to the final third. Do you think it's purely just a confidence issue with our poor finishing decision-making, or does the issue run deeper? Dave, you mentioned earlier about Gary O'Neill talking about Nunes. Do you think it could be very similar with the likes of Neto?
Yeah, Neto, Cunha, I think, confidence is a massive thing. You got confidence to try new things, test the goalkeeper. I think the one thing that I noticed on the training video as well, players are making mistakes, and he was almost trying to think the right word, not necessarily praising them, but just say, look, you missed the pass. So what? Just carry on and go, go again. So I think that's the one thing. Instead of, you've seen it how many times, Nunes last season waving his arms in the air, head down. If you can, he makes a crap pass, well, get your head up and go win the ball back then. Or get your head up and start another move. So I think that's it. You need the right manager, and I think Wolves are almost rock bottom. The expectations, like I said earlier, were non-existent. If you can get a manager there who it sounds like his man management is a little bit better. If he adds in the sort of tactical side of things that people have praised him for previously, I think he'll be a really good manager. But judging by that performance going forward, we look a lot more confident. Players aren't scared to, to run at defenders. We did really well.
There was a lot more risk taking I found with that game than we had played
That's what
last
you need.
season.
That's what you need sometimes. Yeah, we tried to walk the ball in the back of the net.
I think that's through design though, because it's just like a fucking hell, we're in a relegation battle here. Like we can't make mistakes.
I suppose so. But then, I think some of the balls we were playing, the passes we were playing was fantastic yesterday.
I think it is a little bit of a confidence thing though, Finn, because the players will know that the goal score has been an issue. Like the goals for column last season was pretty poor. When they are getting into those positions, it's like, for me, it's a little bit of hesitancy and a little bit of, we'll just get one more pass to try and get it a little bit closer to the goal, to try and work a shot. I don't know if you feel the same.
Yeah, we can't just be signing terrible. I know, like they say, Chelsea have an issue with like the striker curse. We can't have that as well. Every single player near the final third can't finish it. It can't be the case. And I think it would get in your head if it's like Wolves are famous for not scoring goals. Right, okay, let's make sure we score this goal. As you say, one more pass. So it's going to be a certain goal. Last night, or was it last night? Whenever it was, the Man United game, my head's gone with that game. I think that was just really, really unlucky. They did, as you said, they took more risks and looked much more confident. So I think it's going to be better things to come. Was it you, Dave, that did the prediction of us scoring a lot more goals this season?
Yeah, top half of the table. I said, yeah. Let him cook.
Richard Fletcher has asked, Mateus Nunes was superb against United. He got a feeling he's going to be a star performer this season. Are you concerned Fosun may cash in if Liverpool get tempted before the window closes? Last night's performance won't have gone unnoticed. Dave, the midfielder market at the minute is absolutely crazy. Do you think there could be, it could be that he goes to Liverpool, and if he does, what kind of money are you asking for? It's only been the last couple of months during pre-season and glimpses of last season it started to look anywhere near the player that we brought, but
he puts in the level of performance that he did against United this week and potentially next week. I think Liverpool will be thinking, right, he started off well, and I think we know they've got over 100 million to spend on a midfielder. Not saying that we'd get that for Nunes, but I reckon Wolves could demand 70 to 80 million, which is absolutely, like 3 weeks ago you asked me this question. I'll say, yeah, take 50 and run.
The market has gone.
The market is I can't believe a champion. No disrespect to Lavia, one season in the Premier League, and obviously his team get relegated, and he's going for over 50 million. That's absolutely mad to me.
It makes the Neves money when people moaning about, Wolves got too much for Neves, mate.
Well, Neymar going for 85 million is absurd to me. I know he's a good player, but my word, it's like nah.
Caicedo as well, a really, really good footballer, but £115 million. Look, it's easy money. So yeah, I don't think he'll go. I feel like he's got a little bit of a point to prove as well,
for sure.
And now he's the main man, isn't he? Now Neves is gone. Yeah. I think he was a little bit in the shadows of Neves last season, but now he's gone, and he almost unlocked him a little bit. So we shall see. Sam Clover has asked, how will Talking Wolves respond to little Dave getting assaulted at the recent post-match analysis at Old Trafford? Will the bloke be getting a visit from Matt Cooper Fights and Big Jord? Dave, I've seen the video. I want to commend you on how well you dealt with it, how calm you stayed. I think a lot of that was to do with shock, because you were like, what's going on here? But for those who haven't seen it, it's on the post-match review that Dave posted. But Dave, what happened, man?
So both of you have been there when we've done videos and I'd either people commenting or doing saying stupid stuff. So obviously doing the video, and I felt someone behind me to start with, and I watched it back and it was like this Wolves fan just waving, and he's probably listening. Wolves fan waving his arms in the air, and then that lad come up to me, and I just thought it's just some heckler, and I thought he'd walk off. And then he nicked my cap, and I thought, oh boy. I genuinely thought he was going to run off with it, and I thought, what do I do here? Like, I genuinely thought he was going to bomb it, and then he's just pissing about, and you can see on the video just staring at him, and then gives it back, and then I'm trying to make conversation with him at least, and then he just gives me a little slap on the old Johnny Roger. So I don't know. You what? I finished the video just about, and then I thought, do I upload this? And I thought, yeah, go on, let's upload it. It'll be a laugh. But then as I was uploading, I thought people are just going to take the piss and call me an absolute pansy. But thankfully, it's quite the opposite. But yeah, I don't know. I said if Matt was there, genuinely, Matt would have smacked him. And then I've had comments saying we should start a Patreon so I can get security at games. I've had people DM me saying next away game, let me know, and he'll sort them out. So yeah.
Have you got that picture, Matt? You know, at Man City away, with me and you either side, and then they shrunk
the one when I'm shrunk. That would be good to post, to be fair. That would be good to post. But yeah, I just couldn't, like you lot know, I'm not I'm not a confrontational person. I think the guy was very, very lucky that was the case. So, yeah, just a bit of shock. And you know what? I told my mum about it. I told my family about it. My mum watched it, and like, I think you just got to laugh at it. And I said, well, it's just lucky that, you know, it could have been a lot worse. Yeah.
Yeah, he could have. He could have, you know, it's trying to catastrophize things. He could have been carrying a knife or anything. Like, you don't know, do you? But I thought you dealt with it excellently. I think the comments show that as well. Like, I've not seen. Well, I
genuinely appreciate the comments. Yeah, I haven't seen one negative comment. Yeah,
you should just drop them on him.
Yeah, I know.
Before we move on to on a lighter note, I had a cool interaction. I probably should have said at the start of the podcast, right? And this is really gonna depend on your knowledge of Christmas films, but go with me. So I was in the away end, right, in the little sectioned away end. So I know you've got to go, Matt. I'll be 30 seconds. I was in the. It's really cool. I was in the away end, right, and everyone had gone to the toilet, so I was just stood on my own. And this lovely bloke came up to me and he was talking about the videos and stuff. And I went, I just recognised his face. I was like, I hope you don't mind me asking, but why do I know your face? And he went, have you seen Nativity? And I was like, yeah. And you know the little kid from Nativity that sings all the stuff, Bobby? Have you seen Nativity?
Yeah, I know Bobby.
Yeah, that was him.
Yeah,
he's a Wolves fan. Yeah,
I think he's local. Like, yeah,
he's a Wolves fan.
Oh my god, he's jokes. He's like the goat in that film.
Yeah, he was. What a bloke! So
wait, so he knows our videos?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh my days!
How cool! I know. Yeah. So then my mum was in the toilet. I was like, because he was like, "Oh, nice to meet you." I was like, "No, stay here. I need my mum to see this." And then I went, "Mum, name a Christmas film." And she went, "Elf." I was like, "No." Home Alone. It got quite awkward. Home Alone. No.
Die Hard.
No. The other one.
Die Hard 1. Die Hard 2.
Yeah. It's not a Christmas film. That's class.
So you watch it. I was going to play the nativities.
Utter.
No, I've not seen it, so I don't know. But if you do watch it, then big.
Why does that keep playing?
It's one of the best Christmas. I'm going to say the best now. He's a Wolves fan. The best Christmas film.
I thought he was like a Brummie. I didn't realise he was. That's mad.
Yeah, Wolves fan.
It's my favourite Christmas film. Love it. It's up there. Great film. That's my favourite film. And the final question is from Andrew Humphreson. He said he's taking his youngest to his first game on Saturday. What do you lads think of things to do to give him the best experience for his first game? Don't take him. I'd probably say.
I think
leave him at home.
Cinderella's before the game.
Cinderella's before and after. It's that bring it my first Wolves game promotion, isn't it, Finn?
Yeah, I think it's sold out for Brighton. I know they've just put it up for Blackpool. But yeah, it's a really good. I think it's only 15 quid, and you get this whole box full of goodies. You get a lap around the pitch. You get a picture with Wolfie, new Wolfie.
Q jumper.
You get your name up on the big screen. A picture with new Wolfie. So yeah, it's good little offer. It's only 15 quid. You have to buy a ticket as well. And yeah, apart from that though, obviously grill it.
Fan zone, I think fan zone's the one. Like, it depends on how young the kid is, but like fan zone, like an hour before the game, they've always got stuff there for the kids, and obviously food and drinks and stuff. So, but yeah, we haven't mentioned the new Wolfie, by the way, on the podcast. But yeah, there was a bit. I think the uproar for that was a bit OTT personally, but we move.
Do you know what the new Wolfie reminded me of? Do you know that video in China of the bears in the zoo when it's got like a human in it, and it was saying like, no, it's not it's a real bear.
Yeah. Like, it's just like a Fortnite character, man.
It's very like e-sporty, I thought.
It's how in the Chinese market, that's what Wolfie looks like. That's what they designed like 3 years ago for what Wolfie looks like in the Chinese market. So that's why anyway.
Well, I remember that Wolfie on
Apparently
the
they
China
did-
tour. That was very different, wasn't it?
Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah, you took advantage of the my first Wolves game, didn't you, Finn, about 4 years ago?
There we go.
Oh,
Who knows?
Let's go,
sorry,
everyone.
mate. Sorry, mate. Sorry, mate. Just had to get it in there. Oh, it's good to be back, lads. I've enjoyed that. It's a shame that George couldn't
Go and get the baby pitch.
join us. He's busy tonight, but I'm sure he'll be back on the next podcast. He did a tremendous job and hosting the phone in as well. That we would say phone in a Twitter space last night after the game. If you did join out, you did listen, let us know in the comments down below. Because if you enjoyed it, we'll definitely try and do it a lot more often. It'd be probably easier of away games because not all of us go. That's me included. But yeah, I've enjoyed it, lads. Hopefully we can. Holding up a program doesn't mean you're a Wolves fan, mate.
No, I'm in the ground. First away day for everyone watching. Stoke City. Any Stoke?
Yeah, but you could be supporting anyone there.
Great point.
United.
First mascot with Stevie Bull.
That's where the friendship relationship started.
How does your dad know Buller?
I don't know how it really happened. It's at that point he was very much a stranger. I don't know how it really happened through when I was a kid. But it's quite strange. It's like me being mates with like Jimenez in 30 years, which fingers crossed. But yeah, don't know.
Have you spoken to Mini Jimenez?
Yeah, he's been over for like the last week. So we were going to go to Thorpe Park because he's obviously in London, but it fell through. But yeah, he's been in London. I think they're still in the process of moving everything down there. So they've been back and forth, but didn't quite get a visit in. But next time we'll try and do a link up. I'll ask for an interview or something. We do need to get the much overdue Raul Jimenez interview. That would be, I think, a big one off the bucket list. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought the leaving video, the farewell video they did was pretty emotional.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I love that.
What is it with like non-English speaking footballers who play for Wolves? They can't say Wolves Awe. They always say Wolves Awe.
I just need to look at Rafa Mir, using him as an example. Yeah.
Awe. I'm so glad we've like fucked that moniker off. It's so cringy. I think it's like on like club comms and stuff. Not for me. Not for me. It used to be all around the pitch, didn't it? Wolves Awe.
Hashtag.
Wolves Awe for me. Anyway, been a pleasure, lads. Dave, where can people find you? Should they wish to follow you?
At Dave as a Party on Twitter, Instagram, and obviously the old LinkedIn. Cheers, guys.
Fantastic stuff. Finn Morris, where can people find you? Should they wish? And will the vlogs be back?
I was thinking so about halfway through the match last night, and then I just was too annoyed to edit anything. I probably should have, to be honest, because controversy does sort of raise everything, doesn't it? But no, yeah, probably past that now. Yeah, it probably would have. Thing is, I'm not at the Brighton game. You'll love this now, throwing that I'm not a fan, but I'm not at the Brighton game either. It'll be the one home game that I'll miss. So it's a little bit of a stuttered start, but hopefully, yeah, because I do still enjoy making them. But yeah, we'll see. But it's Finners everywhere. FINERRZ, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. Thank you very much.
What have you got planned on Saturday? Is it one where you can tell for the podcast or?
Oh yeah, I'm in Barmouth. If any, It is Midlands by the sea. So yeah, I'm sure there'll be a lot of Wolves fans down there as well. Yeah, well, yeah, for 2 days. The thing is, it's one with my mates, and I thought, oh yeah, I'll plan it for August because it was one of those ones where everyone puts in the calendar when they're free. Yeah. And then I've got to it now. I'm going, bloody hell, the football's back. So yeah, poor from me. But yeah, little 2 day. I'll be in a pub somewhere. Yeah, literally Friday night, Matson. But no, I'll be in a pub somewhere when everyone wants to be on the beach. Oh no, because it was 3 o'clock in. I'll find somewhere watching it.
Oh, we'll find you one out, mate. Can't say on here, but
FaceTime me.
We'll sort you one. I am M Cooper Wright and Matt Cooper Bites. If you're a fan of a curry, we are talking Wolves across all social media platforms. If you've enjoyed the video, drop us a like. If you're new here, please subscribe. We really do appreciate it. And yeah, let us know in the comments down below. A, whether you enjoyed the performance. B, whether you're excited for Brighton. And C, do you want to see the post-match phone in on the Twitter space more this season? Until next time, it's been good to see you all. Take care and have a good week.